Hello, all Star Trek fans. This is Wayne, the commanding officer of the USS Southern Cross fan club. I'm also known as the Red Shirt Commander. Um, just accept that for what it is. We are going to talk about the Star Trek original series, um, Metamorphosis. And I'm going to be also talking with a crew member. And that crew member is,
Hello, my name's Annabelle. I'm a crew member on the USS Southern Cross down in Australia. Australia, like I'm British. This is the ninth episode of the second season of the original series, Metamorphosis.
it just
Quite
make me
an
look bad by not giving all that information, won't you?
you gotta know. No, it's interesting because, TOS was almost cancelled after the first season.
It was
The
almost
second
cancelled after the
season.
cage.
After this, yeah, I know. Yep. I think this one was released. It was aired in 1970, and released in 1967, filmed in 1967.
Hang on.
No,
Try that
first
again.
aired in 1967. There we are.
Yeah. That's
Which is
you
nice.
did it the other way around then.
Did I? No, it's because IMDb has different information from
Oh, because you
any
said it
other
was
website.
it was first done in 1970 and then went back into 1960. I know Star Trek
IMDb is
time
saying it's
travel.
1970,
Well,
and
that's no.
this
That's
actual the actual thing is telling me it's 1967, which I trust.
okay. Now that we've made ourselves look complete foolish at the first couple of
I'm
minutes
smart.
into it,
I'm very
yeah, I know.
smart.
Okay, so I picked the episode, so you get to start laying the ground rules of where this is going or how it will.
Oh,
Go on, start. I know you've got
no,
some
I want to know
opinions.
your thoughts on this episode.
I know you've got your opinions on this episode. I
I
want to
have
know
some
them.
real opinions on this episode. Well, first time I watched this episode was a couple of years ago when I was doing my attempt to watch all of the Star Treks. And I remember liking it at that time, but I watched it again last night, and I don't think I actually do like this episode.
Oh, here we go. That was a surprise to be, wasn't it?
No, okay, I'm going to give the IMDb rundown so we know what we're
Oh,
dealing with here.
okay, fair enough.
So it says, while returning to the Enterprise aboard a shuttlecraft, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy and a seriously ill-fated Federation diplomat find themselves kidnapped by an energy cloud.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the really fun Star Trek episodes where Kirk and Spock and McCoy spend the entire episode not on the Enterprise, which is really fun.
Yeah, it is. It's completely away from the Enterprise. Scotty's finally got command and doesn't
And
sit in
Uhura's
the
there.
seat once, I think, in the
No,
whole
I know.
episode.
I feel like Scotty was afraid of that chair. He was like, I
I
can't
I
sit
think he
there.
is. I think he is. But go on, please, go on.
Okay, so this episode is quite it's quite an episode really, but this is the first episode where we meet the wonderful Zefram Cochrane, which is
Yeah.
the creator of the warp drive in Star Trek. And this is the first time we ever see him in a Star Trek media, which I think is wonderful.
Um.
Um,
Well, we see him. We hear about him in other episodes, like
we don't
the
meet
top.
him though. This is the first
No,
time we
no,
meet
no.
him.
We do hear about him, and he's quite famous, which I want to drag out later on. In
How did they
this,
not recognize him is really what's
that's where I
ending
want to
me.
drag it
How
out.
did it take them so long?
I
They're like,
mean,
oh, Cochrane. Oh,
I'm
yeah, that sounds
sorry,
familiar. I'm like, oh, you don't recognize the person who created the warp drive. Kirk
and
even goes, oh, show
how
this
does
man how
Spock?
you made the engine. And Spock walks around to show Cochrane the warp
I
engine as if he
know.
didn't make the warp engine. I'm like, bro, what is
Uh,
happening right
There,
now?
there's pictures of Cochrane in the academy. There's pictures of Cochrane.
Exactly.
I
And
mean,
Spock doesn't recognize him.
I
Kirk doesn't
know,
recognize him. What?
I know.
Yeah.
But
Maybe it's
that's
just
the
because he's
part that
changed so much. I mean, he gets de-aged on this planet. Maybe he just like looks really different or something as a 30-year-old.
look. Yeah,
I mean, he
all
looks
right.
very different to how he looks in what is the next gen movie?
Oh, First Contact.
Yeah, he looks very different than how he looks in First Contact.
Um, Yeah, but I have to give them on this because he does say when he says who he is, he was 85 when he got to the planet. So
Mm.
um, in the in the first contact one, he looks about 85 there. So that kind of does match up. But this
He's
is
from
the
Alpha
individual.
Centauri, don't you know? It's not from Earth.
Yeah, this is yeah this that's no again. If it depends on um which site you fall on through the internet to watch to find out about Cochrane.
Mm.
One says, he's on Alpha Centauri. The other one says he's on Earth. One says he's here. One, I don't think
I know, but in
anybody
First
knows.
Contact, he's on Earth and he's from
He,
Earth. And then
then
in
he
this, they say he's
supposedly
from Alpha
goes.
Centauri. So, like, did he leave Earth and live on Alpha Centauri for a while and became known
Yeah,
for being on Alpha
I,
Centauri? Like,
it's a
what's
it's a
going on?
very and if he's 85 when in the I know we're getting a bit off target here, but if he's 85 in First Contact,
Yeah.
and we haven't even invented warp drive yet,
Yeah, I
and
know, right?
how does he get to, so where did he
I
get to
have
Alpha
no
Centauri?
idea.
The
I don't
timelines
think
don't actually
the
match up
timeline is
there.
really weird. This is Star Trek, though. In
Yeah,
TOS,
I know.
all the timelines were weird. The
I
Klingons
know.
looked
I know.
weird. Everything's weird.
I know. I know. Everything's weird. Yeah,
Everything's weird.
everything's weird. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think Glenn Corbett actually um, played the character pretty well. I think the problem was with this character, with this version of him, there wasn't a lot of information about Cochrane at this point. He was
No.
he was, the creator of Warp Drive, da 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 da, vanished, da 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 da.
But,
There was a lot
now
of
he's on this planet.
blank space. And how do you play?
It's
Uh,
TOS. There's a lot of hand waving. There's an
oh,
episode where Kirk is the last survivor of the genocide, like, and then we just go, oh, whatever, and we move on.
yeah,
It's the
yeah.
funniest show. They were just like, oh, this guy invented the warp drive, whatever, and then he lives on this planet for the rest of his life, waving the
Look,
hand.
I think I think Corbett actually did a pretty good job considering he probably would have been given maybe two lines. This is
Yeah,
Cochrane. This is who Cochrane is.
yeah, acts like this. No, I think he does a good job. I just happen to hate Cochrane as a character. He's really irritating.
Why do you hate Cochrane?
So irritating. He walks in and there's this like intelligent lady and he's like, you're like food to a starving man. And I was like, oh, bro,
It is
I
from the
can't deal with
60s.
him. No, I
You wouldn't
know, but it's
you
just
wouldn't
so
have that in
irritating.
today's you wouldn't have that in today's Cochrane. But in the 60s,
It
that
was so
was
irritating, man. I
unfortunately an
just
acceptable kind of thing.
no, I find
Um,
it's fine. I'm still gonna judge him for it. Like I
oh, okay.
understand why it was
No,
happening. I'm just
okay, no, I think personally James Cromwell does a better, more realistic version, and I think
oh
they
yeah,
do a
the
bit.
acting's good. The acting's great in all of these episodes, I think,
Yeah,
really.
but I think Cromwell does a more, the old don't go finding your hero because you may not like what comes out of it. And I think
Mm.
in Metamorphosis they make Cochrane. They're still making Cochrane uh, um, this
Normal
kind of.
guy.
No, it's still kind of this hero. He's still got a bit of an ego and a chip on his shoulder in
Mm.
this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Um, you can see by the fact that he's trying to keep it all secret of what's going on because he knows.
Yeah,
And he's got a chip on his shoulder. I'm
yeah,
Cochrane. I invented warp drive, and
yeah,
even 150 years later, that chip is still there a little bit. It's been
yeah.
worn down a fair bit, but it is still there. Now, getting past the factor that no one seemed to know who he was, which it's the only part I really struggle with on this is how they didn't know who Cochrane was and how Spock didn't. Spock
Yeah,
knows
Spock
everything,
didn't know. I know. Spock knows everything. What's
and
happening there?
Spock had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
But we're getting past that. I can get past that for the moment. Um, the factor that I don't understand is that we have a very important diplomat. I mean, they've
Yep.
made that very clear.
Yep.
She's trying to desperately stop a war
Yep.
from
She's currently
escalating.
dying. She's literally dying
Yeah, this is
of a
it.
disease the
She
entire
is
episode.
dying. Right? We know this. And instead of sending the flagship, they send a shuttle.
I know, right?
4 hours to get back to the
Also,
why?
why did they send the commanding officer, the second in command, and the third in command on the shuttlecraft with her?
Because you can't have a story unless you have all of them there at
I
once.
know, but it's just so stupid to me. We sent them
That's
all on
that's
this
one
shuttlecraft.
that's one thing Star Trek always did, which I've read and I've talked to
I mean, they
people
changed
about.
it in next gen. Yeah.
Oh, but I've always talked to people about this, and they've all gone, in no military circle would the captain of a ship
Mm.
leave the ship
I know,
ever.
ever. But it's not
I,
really militaristic. It's Starfleet, they wear pajamas.
I
Kirk wants to hang
suppose
out with his friends.
you can't have a storyline if you don't get the captain. I mean, could you imagine the storyline? The captain
He's
saved the
so
ship
boring.
and didn't leave the
He didn't
bridge.
leave. He didn't leave the bridge.
Yeah,
Yep.
I get what, but it's always a funny thing. And
Also, it's
as
like those three, Spock, Bones, and Kirk, are the heart of the show. They make
yeah,
it
it
work.
is.
And so if
It
you don't
is.
have all three of them there, it's not very fun to watch.
Well, you can't have the banter between McCoy and Spock because
Mm.
Kirk and Spock won't banter.
I
They're
know, but
too
they
close
finish
to
each
each.
other's thoughts, which is really fun. Like they do it in this episode in the beginning, and it's like interesting to
Yeah,
watch them do that.
which I'm
It's
I'm
like,
I'm I'm gonna go off topic a little bit here,
oh
but
no,
I've just watched the third season of Strange New Worlds, and actually,
oh
I
yeah,
have
I
to
can't watch
admit,
it.
no, I actually have to admit that they've resolved that symbiosis between Kirk and Spock in
Oh
that
nice.
series. They actually resolve it. How they can kind of finish each other's
The
sentences. I'm not going
besties.
to say anything if anybody hasn't watched it. I would
I can't
suggest.
watch it because Spock is so out of character. I can't actually talk about it. I
I'm
will go.
just
No,
saying.
I'm not even joking. I literally ranted to
No,
my mom for like 2 hours about it. It's something. There's something wrong with
I,
me when it comes to Spock.
if one thing I've learned, I never joke about you.
Yeah, no, you never joke about Spock either, or I will come to your house.
Oh, great. That's just all. So if anybody's listening to this, if I vanish, you know who to go after.
If you vanish suddenly, it was me because
Yeah.
Wayne said something bad about
No,
Spock.
but
Yeah,
I have to give them. They actually do clear up that sort of symbiotic relationship and
that's so
make it
good.
kind of understandable, and they actually
Mm.
make it reasonably why they had to do it. So I'm not
Yeah,
going to say anything, but they do make you kind of think, okay, that makes a little bit of sense. Okay. But back to the episode. So we've got a very important mission. We've just sent the slowest kind of vehicle we can find to go and
yep,
get her.
yep,
And what is it? We're not sending the Enterprise, and we've got the Enterprise basically stopped dead in the middle of space,
yep.
waiting for
This
the
Enterprise
rocket.
isn't doing anything else. It's just sitting there.
It's just sitting there. I'm
And they don't give a
sorry.
reason why. Like they don't say, "Oh, the
No,
Enterprise couldn't
no,
come close." There's no reason. There's literally no
no.
reason. The reason is so the
Usually,
episode could happen because they didn't want to crash the entire Enterprise. They wanted to crash the shuttle, so they were just like, "I'll put him in a shuttle." But it's so stupid.
yeah, this is one thing that I have to give the later series like TNG and Voyager
Deep Space
and
Nine.
DS9. One of the things they do resolve in that is if there is a reason why a particular, like the Enterprise or the Defiant or the Voyager, couldn't
Yeah,
go there, and they actually say, "Oh,
they
by the way,
always make a reason. Yeah,
yes." But in original, they never do.
TOS just doesn't care enough. Where
I don't think anybody concerned themselves that much. It was it
no,
we it,
because it wasn't
there
really
was a
about that. It's about the philosophical discussions and the
yes,
banter.
yes. It wasn't about the fans nitpicking like we're doing right now.
No, I know.
There were fans being grown in the series as it was going live, but the fan
Yeah.
base really didn't start until later on.
No, I love it
So
nowadays because I'll talk to some Trek fans and they talk about very specific things, and I'm like, oh, you have to watch TOS because none of this is true. None of this works in TOS. You can't logic TOS. TOS
no,
just doesn't care enough. TOS is
as
like star dates. I don't know what that is. It could be whatever I want it to be.
as somebody said to me one day when we were doing a convention here
Mm.
in Melbourne, somebody came to our table and we got talking about it, and they said, "Oh, I love Star Trek and I love TNG and the whole bit." And I forgot where I was going with this conversation. We'll go back to this when I get there,
Oh, okay.
because I've completely forgotten where I was going with this conversation. It happens, people. Just
It
accept it. I'm
happens,
a Star
people.
Trek. I will go back
Yeah,
in
you're really
time.
smart.
I will go back in time. I will find out what I was going to say, and I'll come
Yeah, you'll
back
go
and
at warp 10 like they do in next gen in TOS, which is hilarious. You'll go at warp 10 and you'll go back into
don't pick on when they break their own rules because
I
it's
think
not
it's
fair.
hilarious how in warp 10 in Voyage is like, oh, they turned into lizards, and then warp 10 in TOS is like, oh, we went back in time. And then warp 10 and other things are like you get destroyed.
Oh, that's all right.
Great.
In the All Good Things
Mm.
episode, the Pasteur does Warp 13. So
Really?
yeah, just
Oh
Warp
no.
13. So
Just casually. Yeah.
we just don't care anymore. We'll just do
We
whatever
just
we
don't
want.
care anymore.
Look, apart from this factor that there are tiny little I remember I've just come back in time and I've
Oh,
just
great. Wonderful. You've just
uh,
done warp 10 and you've circled back around.
circled, I've gone around the sun and I've come back. So if anyone
Exactly,
listening to this,
exactly. Just like in that movie. Wow.
if anyone is listening to this, this is what a Star Trek fan is like. So just accept it. When we were at the when somebody came to the table, they actually said the only way you can watch Star Trek the original series is to not sleep for 3 days and then go and watch an episode.
That is
Makes
so true.
complete
You'll feel
sense.
like you're having a trip or something like
And I said to them, "Does that work for 2001?" Oh yeah, I've watched that 100 times and I watched it sleep deprived, and now I get it completely.
you understood Space Odyssey finally. Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay. Well, now that I've just screwed it, the whole damn thing up
No, it was
completely.
great. It was wonderful.
Um, what did you think of the storyline with the companion and Cochrane?
I think this is the
I
most
know you've
misogynistic
got an
Star Trek
opinion on
episode.
this. I know you've got an opinion on this.
I've got such a strong opinion,
Yeah,
but I don't actually, it's such an interesting thing to me because, well, this episode makes me feel almost ill in a way because of not even the main plot, but because of the sort of implicit understanding this episode gives to things that I don't think are like that at all. It's like the people that wrote the story live in a different world than I live in. And it's like I'm watching an anthropological thing on monkeys or something, but the monkeys are people.
boy, did we
It's
get academic all of a sudden on this.
well, don't I'm going to start talking about gender essentialism in a second, Wayne. So don't even start.
Oh, I'm just getting
No,
comfortable. Hang
no,
on.
just relax. No, it's fine. I actually really love TOS for a lot of reasons, and like the reasons are often that they try to do really interesting things with the episodes, even when they fail. And I particularly think this episode, it doesn't exactly fail, but I don't think it aged very well, um, to
What do you mean
me.
by
But I think it's
where are you going with it's not aging well? Where does that
I
go?
don't think it's well, okay, feminist revolution happened, Wayne.
No, yeah, but hang on. We've got a frontline diplomat which is a
And she's
female.
hysterical the entire episode, and she
Yeah, I
loses her
don't get
personhood.
that. That I've
She,
got to admit. Um,
like she's never viewed as a person. Even in the
yeah.
shuttlecraft, she's being demeaned, she's being put down, her thoughts are being viewed as unimportant, her pain is being viewed as secondary, and the men around her are always talking down to her, even though in the text, we've been told that she's an incredibly important, intelligent woman who's stopping a war, but the people around her don't treat her like that. They treat her like she's some hysterical woman, even though she's literally dying. And I find that really weird, especially because they don't do it in some other TOS episodes. It just seems like the writer of this episode only could understand women as hysterical crying, no matter what they were or what they were doing. Even if he could go, a woman can be smart and intelligent, she also has to be weeping and in pain, and that doesn't have much value. Like it was, it's really painful. And then at the end of the episode, she fucking dies and loses her own body to a creature that she's never seen. Even after saying she doesn't want to die, she literally loses a
I'm not
personhood.
certain
She doesn't get a
she died.
burial. She doesn't get to be with the people she loves back on her own planet. She doesn't get to be with her husband or whatever. She doesn't even get a gravestone. She just gets to live on this random planet with another entity in her body that she never got to choose to be
I
there.
don't think
Like,
she died. I don't think she died. I
well,
think
she died in a very literal way. Like the companion literally says her body was no longer existing, and she was crying about not wanting to die. And so in a way, the companion gave her back life,
you
but
know
she
the
didn't
one
get to
thing.
make that choice of her free will.
But hang
That
on.
choice was forced upon her.
In this respect,
Mm.
one thing I am a little bit not upset about, but
This is why I want to see your perspective because, like,
no,
I don't know what
no.
you're thinking when you watch this episode, Wayne.
The one thing that I think they missed here that would have made a lot more sense,
Mm.
and actually cleared up a lot of the whole situation is, did the companion and the diplomat come to an arrangement? Was it a
Exactly. But see, Wayne, to do that, they would have had to given the woman agency. This woman could be, the episode could be fantastic with some incredibly minute changes, like adding a conversation between Nancy and the companion about wanting to be
that's what I
joined.
mean. We
Boom.
never saw
You've
that.
given both of the women in this situation agency to be their own people, and that's wonderful. But it doesn't do that. It doesn't even
No,
think about doing that. And it's
we
just so irritating that these small changes could have been made to give these women agency, but what's his name? JL Coon couldn't think of that in the episode. It just annoys me.
we don't see this one. I think one of the most important aspects, or one of the most important
Yeah,
scenes in the whole thing, is where
exactly.
the two give their individual consent to merge.
Mm,
Because when
exactly.
you see her, Nancy, that's correct. Sorry, I don't
Nancy.
mean,
Yeah.
I have trouble with names, but Nancy, when you see Nancy standing at the door,
Mm,
you now know that
they're
it's
together. The
they're
companion has
together.
been
But the
has been given
companion
physical
is
form.
talking. It's the
Mm,
companion that's talking. Now, what
yeah.
we don't see, and the companion says that Nancy was taking the
Was
last
dying.
breath.
Yeah.
Her condition couldn't, which surprises me that she was unable to save Nancy. She could
Yeah, I know, right?
longevity.
She could save everybody else. She could like literally de-age him, but
She
if she
could
wanted to
make
save
things out
Nancy,
of
no.
nothing, but she couldn't stop
She couldn't.
Nancy
Yeah,
from.
but see, I think she could. She just did that because she took over her body. Like, I don't think Nancy
Oh,
had
okay. No, no.
any
Okay.
perspective in that choice. That choice was made by another creature putting itself onto Nancy, and I hate that. It feels really violating.
So, all right. So there's number two in a point in the script that we should have had. The factor
Yeah,
that we should have heard the two of them talking, and we should have.
yeah. And
I
Nancy
reckon
go, like, I don't want to do this anymore, blah, 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 blah. And the companion go, do you want me to give you life or do you want to help me in this scenario and we can be together? And she goes, that would be really cool. I'd like to, as a person who's trying to save a war and live the rest of my life, I will join with you and we can be together. And then boom, you would have had a great like conversation between
yeah.
these two women about retaining each of their own individuality and also making a consent to this joining. It would have been really interesting. And I
I
feel like they
think
could have done that so
I
easily,
think
but they didn't.
also I think also what we missed was the companion saying that she no longer could live without Cochrane. And I
Exactly.
think we needed to see her becoming, or she was already, but becoming a different level of sentient being. And I think we
Absolutely.
missed that.
I
We
think this
missed that whole
episode also
section.
needed, if I were to remake this episode in the year 2025, I would have done two things. One is make Nancy have more agency in herself. And my second point would be don't give the companion a gender. Don't make the companion doesn't need to be a woman for this episode to work. The companion just has to be the companion. The companion can become a woman when it goes into Nancy, but there's like literally no reason why the companion has to be a woman other than
I
Gene L.
think
Kuhn only sees women as loving objects and can only love a man if it's a
I
woman.
think
I don't think
also
the gender
in
matters at all.
I think
I
in
don't think the gender matters at all.
1960 I think in the
No, I
1960s
understand why they did it. I understand why they did it.
they had to
They
make it a
had to do
woman.
that.
They
It
had no
makes sense
choice, I
that they
think.
made it a woman in order to make
Yeah,
this love story work. But if
yeah,
I were to
they
make it
had.
in 2025,
Yeah,
I would
oh,
just make
completely.
them an it.
You've got an
Like it
open-ended
doesn't have to
story.
be gendered.
You've got an open-ended story in
Yeah,
2025. You could, I think, delve into aspects that the people who wrote the script, and I'm not condoning I'm just saying the people who
yeah.
wrote the scripts and produced the episode, I don't think they had that leeway in 1960s.
And I don't think they had I don't want to say enlightenment, but I don't think like the experience of living in the 1960s gives you a lot of understanding about women's rights or what gender means. I think it's very sort of women are this and
I
men are this, and that's written into the storyline
Yeah,
and it's baked into what this episode is. And that is sort of what makes me feel sick when I watch this episode, that that's so baked into the episode. And as, a woman and someone who doesn't really feel a lot of those emotions, it's weird to watch this episode and have like being a woman be some kind of like innate romantic existence when I don't really
yeah.
think it is. Like the
No,
love
look,
there is really important. I think that's really beautiful. I just don't think it had to be based on the companion's gender. I don't think that makes any difference to this love story, really.
I think back then it A didn't come across. I don't think that anyone would have thought any other way. B,
Oh, I know, absolutely. I know.
if they tried to do something that was kind of a non-binary, the censors would have had a fit.
Absolute field
I
day. I
mean,
know.
Star Trek had
But
enough
what
trouble
makes
getting.
me what makes me mad, Wayne, is that even in next gen, they don't even go there. Like they do the
Oh, they
episode with the non-binary people, and instead of casting, you know who the writer wanted to cast men as this trans woman,
Oh, I
and
didn't know
and
that.
and Gene Roddenberry refused to
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't
because
know that was
not Gene Roddenberry,
was.
Rick Berman refused to, and that just makes me really irritated because even the guy who plays Riker, he really wanted it to be a man who he was playing with because that would have been so important to see that like your visual juxtaposition between what someone's feeling and what they look like would have been really hammered home. But even in next gen, they're still caught up in this idea of what makes it specifically like this. And I think this episode really shows those ideas as well, that Star Trek is so close to hitting these really important political moments or philosophical moments about what it means to be human and love people. And it just like slightly misses the mark sometimes or is embedded in its own cultural understanding. And I think that's really interesting. I think that's why TOS is really interesting and why Next Gen is really interesting because of those bits that are embedded into this, I don't know, social understanding that happens to be put into these crazy sci-fi stories.
I think I think if TOS was done today as like Discovery or Strange New Worlds, which I know
Strange New
you hate,
Worlds. I don't
um,
hate it. I just hate Spock. I actually really like Strange
but
New Worlds. I just hate
I
Spock in
think
Strange New Worlds.
if we did all those episodes today, as we are doing them in like they are trying to do because they are actually bringing a
Exactly.
lot of
They've got trans characters in
yeah.
Discovery and stuff, and I
I
love
think
that so much.
now I think Strange New Worlds is the Star Trek that most people believe should be there,
Yeah. I mean,
right?
I love Strange New Worlds because it manages to keep the fun
Oh,
campiness of the
it
original
does.
series,
It
which is
does.
so wonderful. And I'm like, if Strange New Worlds could do something like these philosophical episodes into us, which it tries sometimes, but I don't think it always does it as well as
Again,
TOS does it. But if
I,
it could mix those two together, I think we'd have the best Star Trek
I
of the
think
modern
the
age.
unfortunate thing is it's that they've still got to play within the world's
Yeah, I
perception.
know. Yeah.
And there is a line that you can push out, which Star Trek has always
Yeah,
pushed
I know.
out.
I'm like, Star Trek almost got cancelled twice.
Yeah,
Like,
it
none of
pushes
these new
on
shows are
that
getting cancelled. It's supposed to be pushing boundaries. That's the whole point of Star Trek.
it pushes on those lines constantly, and I think there's this kind of um, seesaw game that Star Trek plays to be able to
Mm.
push those boundaries, but yet stay within the
Stay within that. Yeah, so
confines.
they can keep getting,
Yeah, I
on
mean
television.
it's it's not like Star Trek's South Park or anything where they basically
No.
have no guidelines. All
No,
right.
I think Star Trek is much more intelligent than South Park ever is as
South
well, though,
Park's
because of those
it's a
boundaries. It
it's a
keeps
blunt
itself
instrument.
grounded. Yeah, I
It's a
know.
blunt
I don't think
instrument. That's what's
Star Trek is like a lovely lilting song. So you're not getting
it's.
hammered over the head with
I
it, but it's
think
still moving.
I think what Star Trek is a scalpel in the hands of a very talented surgeon
Mm,
who can do whatever, however they have to do to save somebody's life. I personally think that Star Trek is that scalpel in that incredibly gifted surgeon.
yeah.
Um,
See, I think all good sci-fi is really all really good sci-fi feels like that, where you've got a scalpel and going into your heart of a real
yeah,
talented surgeon.
I think the problem with a lot of a lot of science fiction, and especially today, it comes
Mm.
down to special effects and gore.
I hate it so much. I'm sorry. Some of the worst parts of
I think,
Strange New Worlds are when they do the gore horror stuff. I'm
yeah,
like, it doesn't need to be there. I don't think it's improving the show at all. I think it's just trying to lean into other sci-fi aspects, which are
yeah,
less interesting.
well, let's get back to the Metamorphosis. So we've
We are talking
basically,
about
you know,
Metamorphosis.
we were talking about Metamorphosis. Now we're talking about God knows how many different episodes.
We're talking
But
about Star Trek in general.
I think Metamorphosis had, I think the big thing what we're trying to do, and this is what Star Trek fans always do, uh,
Mm.
and I think this is the one thing that I love about um, Star Trek fans is you can get a whole heap of Star Trek fans together, and you can talk about an episode, and
Oh, forever.
you can
You'll
have a
never leave
week
the room.
pass, and it's only a 42-minute episode, and you can talk about it forever, and you can
Yep.
have different opinions, and everyone can be quite comfortable with those different
Yeah,
opinions.
exactly.
Um, I think with Metamorphosis, it was an attempt at the best attempt they could do with and it would have been extremely strict guidelines from the censors
Yep.
of what they were allowed to do with a romantic story with aliens. You can,
Yeah.
as they can get away with a lot more when you put an alien into the mix. You can get away
I
with a
know. They
lot
still
more.
have the hilarious lines though, like when the companion's talking and she says like, "Oh, I can't make all things like the creator." And you're like, that feels like it was put there for the censors to be like, this is still Christian. We
Yeah,
swear. God still exists. Still
yeah,
Christian.
they do. I mean, when if they had done the scene with the companion
Mm,
of kind of melding with Cochrane, and it was
yeah.
and I'm just and
If it wasn't
don't
a
yell
woman,
at me, and it was a
no.
woman that would
Yeah.
never have got past the censors.
They would not have allowed that at all. Well, it was
No,
actively banned. I mean,
it wouldn't have got past. So you
nope.
replace the physical woman with Christmas lights with a female voice. Now you've
Yep.
still got the same scene as if you
Yep.
had a real woman there, but now you've got a situation where, oh no, it's an alien, and
It's an alien.
the translators just happening to translate it into a female voice. It's not our fault. It's an alien. All right, just
Yeah.
accept it.
Just
And
accept
they
it.
sneak it past the censors, and it's an
Which I love.
acceptable.
And they do so much in Star Trek. And
Oh
sometimes you
yeah,
watch episodes and you go, how did this ever get aired? Because,
I know, and
like,
it became known as the Star Trek maneuver because
mm,
other science fictions around the period and later on started doing that. They actually
yeah,
deliberately set up a bad shot, like one that the censors would go, "You can't do that," and then the actual shot would sneak around the corner,
yeah.
and it became known as the Star Trek scene. It's called the Star Trek shooting scene because
I love
it's
that.
how they actually got most of the stuff that you would never in a million years have got
Think would get, yeah.
into a 1960s episode. I think with Metamorphosis for the time and for the series, because you had to end up like it always did at the end of each episode where
Yeah,
everything was kind of whitewashed a little bit, and the main
yeah.
characters were going, well, we're back on
Well,
the
it's a
end.
procedural. They've all got to go back on the ship and everything's got to be
Yep.
fine.
I think it was, I think it's one of my favorite, mainly because you finally get to see Cochrane. And I
Yeah, I
wish,
love seeing Cochrane. I think that's fun. I just hate his His line.
I think that I would have liked personally, and this is one big thing with Star Trek. Yeah, Star Trek.
Hmm.
Is you have episodes like this, Metamorphosis, and then but you never go back to it.
I know. This is what irritates me about TOS. I'm like, talk about Kirk's backstory. That was devastating. Talk about Cochrane on this random planet. Talk about the stuff you bring up. It's so interesting. Like,
Yep,
do a DS9, guys. I want them to remake TOS, but in a DS9 style where you could
yep.
go back to things you brought up before.
And they
Yeah.
never they have all these incredible stories that they talk
Emotional
about,
storylines, and they're so
but
heart-wrenching. And then at
you
the end of
never
the
went
episode,
back
it's
to
like
them.
everything just returned to normal. And I'm like, did it? Kirk just watched someone get shot, or Kirk just watched his hero walk away, or something else. And you're like, how is no one reacting to this?
No, I mean that. Although I have to stand corrected, they actually did go back
Hmm.
to
Oh, well,
Cochrane
that's.
in the book, The Federation.
Oh, really?
They
I thought
did
you were going to talk
actually.
about the episode where Spock goes on trial.
No, no, no. They actually went back to Cochrane and Nancy in the
Hmm.
book called Federation.
Oh, do I have this book?
I personally don't like. Look, I like the read of it, but I don't like the
Hmm.
end of it. I don't like the
Uh,
way they ended it. For me, I think they could have done a lot more for the ending, but
no.
they did go back. But my
It wasn't very good.
well, no, the actual storyline was reasonably well done. I
Hmm.
think for me, it was just the ending. The ending just wasn't. I mean, I
What
have this
happened?
perception. I'm not going to tell you. You read the
Oh,
book.
okay. I have to read it, right? It's not on my shelf, Wayne. I'm gonna have to find
That's
it
not
somewhere.
my fault. You have to read the book.
I
I'm
know.
not going to. I mean, there's a
You're not
whole
gonna
heap of other
spoil
Star
it.
Trek. There's a whole heap of other Star Trek fans out there that haven't read the book either. So I'm not going to blow them out of the
Oh,
water.
okay, okay, okay.
But look, I think it's worth the read, to be honest. But it's this kind of weird thing where the story starts and goes kind of in a direction, like from 100 to 0, and then
Hmm.
the second half of the book it goes from 0 to 100. It's kind of it is a
It's
very
a
interesting
ride.
book. So you go in one part of the story of Cochrane, and then all of a sudden you get this other part of the story of Cochrane. So
Hmm.
it's TOS and TNG together. So it's actually
Oh.
pretty well. It's an intriguing read, I found.
Hmm.
I just didn't like the end. All right. Um, but I just tended to find Star Trek did this. They created these incredible stories and then never went back to them to
Yeah,
say, look, this is what we did. This is what happened years after or something like that.
yeah.
And the other thing that I found, I don't know where you stand on this, and I find this really, really complicated.
Hmm.
They have always said, and no matter what canon book you read or canon instruction book or manual or anything, they
Hmm.
always say Cochrane invented warp drive and changed the galaxy. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't make a lot of sense because the Vulcans were in space 1500 years earlier.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I always interpret it as he invented warp drive for humans and opened them up to a world of other people that have warp drive. Because he meets the Vulcans for the first time. That's the first people he meets. And then
But it
that's how the
doesn't.
Federation starts. The Federation wouldn't exist if
Oh
it
yeah,
wasn't for Cochrane
I
making the
get
warp
that,
drive.
but that's not the way they're saying it. They're saying that
No, I know,
Cochrane invented warp drive for the galaxy, which is an
which is wrong.
untruth. Uh, I
Yeah.
mean, we couldn't have first contact if Cochrane hadn't. If say Cochrane.
Oh, I do have something to say,
Oh, here we go.
if I may. No, I was just thinking
No.
about this. In First Contact, we
Oh God.
see Cochrane walk up and shake hands with the Vulcan guy. I think it's one of the guys in the background is actually Spock's great grandfather. So
Oh, is it?
like Spock's meeting this guy who also met his great grandfather, and I think that's just really fun that there's like these two Vulcans of the same line that both met the same guy at different times in history.
I didn't know
I
that.
think
I
that's
honestly
really
didn't.
fun. I've forgotten his name. Oh, I knew his name for a while.
Oh, now
I'm gonna
see,
look
now
it
you're
up
going to
here.
make me go and watch the episode again, the movie again. You happy with that?
Movie. First Contact's a good movie. You can watch First Contact. You just can't watch Nemesis.
Oh no. The only reason
No
I
one's
have
allowed to
Nemesis,
watch Nemesis.
the only reason I have Nemesis is because I collect the movies and it just sits there. It's not even out of the wrapper, and I
Oh,
refuse to
lol.
ever take it out of the wrapper. Um,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
the
I mean,
movie
fair.
that you know, it's the Jar Jar Bing of Star Trek kind of thing.
It really is. Jar Jar
It,
Binks.
it
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. Funny thing was, we were at a convention. I actually did talk to someone who said their most favorite movie was Nemesis, and
Oh.
I
Oh
didn't know what
no.
to say. I
Here we
honestly
are. Wait,
didn't.
I found the guy's name.
Oh,
Solkar was the other person there. He's the father of Scon, the grandfather of Sarek, and the great grandfather of Spock.
oh,
Hey, look at that.
that's incredible.
That's fun, isn't it? I love Star Trek.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, what were you
yeah.
saying?
I met this guy and he says, "Oh, Nemesis is my favorite," and I'm going, I didn't know what to say. I honestly didn't.
You were like, actually leave. You're not allowed to talk to us anymore.
I ended up talking to him and I knew a bit about it because I'd seen previews and bits and pieces. I knew enough to talk, but
Mm.
I'm thinking, oh, everyone I've ever met, and we've been doing conventions for 10 years, have said, "Oh, Nemesis, don't even talk to me, but don't even mention
It's
the
like
name."
someone saying, "Oh, Star Trek 5 is my favorite." I think if someone said that to me, I might lose my mind a little bit.
Actually, Star Trek 5 is one of my favorites.
No, who are you?
No,
Why?
I do
Not the
like that
marshmallow
movie.
Spock. I can't with the marshmallow
I do
Spock. It
like the
just,
marshmallows.
I
I do
don't
like the
get, I can't get
marshmallows.
past. Every time I try to watch the movie, I get to Spock saying marshmallow and I have to turn it off.
No, I like that. I like that movie for a couple of reasons. It is an adventure
Mm,
movie. There's got
yeah, well, they all are.
like most Star Trek, there's a couple of flaws in it, I will admit, but I
The
like
couple
that
flaws is
one.
Spock saying marshmallow.
I like that one because you get to see behind the curtain of the three main characters.
Yes, I do. It is very like, oh, this is the triumvirate's friendship. They're
Yeah,
really close to each other. They love
they
each
pull
other.
the they pull the curtain down, and you get to see the real McCoy. Oh, sorry, that was no pun intended. Um, the real Spock, and you get to see the real Kirk because he doesn't want to see his
I
past.
do love his goddamn shirt though, the Go Climb a Mountain shirt.
I made one
I
of
love the
them.
Go Climb a Mountain shirt so
I made one of them actually for a cosplay that we did at one of the
yeah,
conventions, and I
that's so
got his
fun.
jacket and the whole bit, and
Ah, hey.
I did the shirt, but somewhere between me sending it to the printer and me getting it printed on and coming
Mm.
back, they did the print bigger than what
Oh,
Kirk's one was, and I was at a convention and somebody came up and said, "Oh, you did the shirt," and they said, "But that's bigger, right?" And then I pulled the jacket up and I said, "Mine's bigger than Kirk's." Before I even realized what I said, and I walked off,
wait, no.
and I got to the end, and I'm going, "Oh, hang on,
You
what did I
finished the
just
sentence
say?"
and regretted every word that just came out of you.
Um, I did not even. I said this to Lynn, and she basically. I said this to the whole table, and they go,
She
"You did."
laughed in
I
your
said,
face, yeah.
luckily, it was a bloke who I said it to, but I'm thinking I shouldn't have said that.
No, lol, that's really
Now I say
funny.
it to
Oh,
people if
weird.
I've got it on. I say it as a joke. Oh, by the way, mine's bigger now
Mine's
than Kurt.
bigger, yeah.
But then I said it there. I just said it so, deadpan. I said, "Oh, mine's
Casually,
bigger than
yeah.
Kirk's." And I just turned around and walked
Like you
off.
really meant it.
And I got like about 10 meters up the track in between people. And I
Yeah.
stopped and I go, "What did I just say? Oh my
Oh
God." And I looked back to see if I could, and I couldn't find him. I thought, "Oh my
no.
God, what have I
Oh,
done?"
I
I
hope you
didn't
made that
mean
guy's
it.
day. I hope he burst out laughing as soon as you
I
walked
just
away.
came out without even, because I was actually just admitting, the writing's bigger than Kirk's was. That's
Yeah,
what I was trying to, but I cut the words out. I didn't put all the words in.
that's really funny.
So yeah, so everyone can know that. I'm not going to say it again
Well,
because
don't
I'll
say
get
it again.
we'll get
Hold
taken
it
off
in, Wayne.
YouTube. We'll get taken off YouTube.
Oh, we'll get taken off YouTube. No, we're being very subtle. Look,
Oh yeah, right.
shut up.
Um, I think overall, Metamorphosis is one of my favorite, mainly because of Cochrane. Um,
Yeah.
I wish they had done, seeing that Cochrane was such. The funny thing is that they always didn't really tap on to the important events. And this is going to sound bad, and I don't mean it, but they
What
don't
are you
talk
gonna
about
say?
they don't talk about Cochrane, who was very important to Earth. They don't
Yeah.
talk about the Earth Romulan War. Again, incredibly important to Earth
I
because
know.
where the Federation came from. They don't talk about the Third World War or a
No,
lot
no,
about the
but at the end of
eugenics.
the episode, they make a funny joke where
I mean,
they're walking away, and he's like, should we tell him about the war? Nah, let's not tell him about the war. Like, I was
I mean,
like, what are we
these
talking about, guys?
these are events that without them, and in most cases, very bad events, but without them, the Star Trek universe could not exist.
Yeah.
Um, but they don't talk. They like, oh, oh,
Or
what have
whatever.
we talked
We're just
about
not going to bring
eugenics?
that up.
I mean, even in the even in the seed where we see Khan,
Yeah.
they try to
I
make
know.
Khan look
Some
like
kind of like,
a nice person.
I
He
know, and I'm
was
like, he's the leader of a eugenics war, guys.
he's a
Also, like,
dictator.
wouldn't Kirk have some strong feelings about that, considering he was on a planet with another eugenicist who tried to wipe out everybody on that planet?
I,
And he was one of the 9 who survived, and Kirk's just like, oh, I'll give this guy another chance. I'm like, Kirk, what
uh,
are you doing?
I don't, what?
Yeah, what? This is
He
the one of
started
the biggest things with
wars.
Star Trek, I
Oh,
think, is that like
he
they
was
don't
the
like
as
adequately
Spock
address.
said. I always like what Spock says. Oh, he was, or was it McCoy? I think it was Spock. He was the nicer of the eugenic leaders.
Oh,
What
was he
the?
really? What are we talking about, guys?
How do we
That's
define tyrant here? I mean,
I
this
know,
is
right?
this was the part that I didn't. They kind of do this a lot. But these great events, they really scooted over the top. And
Yeah.
there was an interview, I remember seeing one on YouTube of one of the writers of the period.
Mm.
Um, and he was saying that basically they didn't, at that time, they created the concept like they would get this brief saying we need something to reason why we don't like the Romulans, and they've come up with, well, why don't we just say the standard stuff that we had a war with them? Oh, okay, so we had the Earth
Oh,
Romulan
whatever.
War. Um,
Okay.
they had ships that couldn't see. We had nuclear
That's my
weapons.
favorite bit, I gotta say. They glance over that, and I'm like, this is so like naval warship,
It is. It's
Horatio
submarine warfare.
Hornblower. We
It's
can't see what our
yep,
people look like, and we're fighting blind. I love that. And then they just like gloss over it in
yep.
every other Star Trek. I'm like, guys, go
I
back
know.
to that.
And
I want to hear about that.
the other thing is that all our main weapons of that war, and yes, people, we have completely digressed into a completely another dimension. Um,
This is what
the whole
happens.
thing in that war, they used nuclear weapons.
They use nuclear weapons. I know, right?
And these things would have created horrendous
Massive
explosions.
explosions. Why did they go like, oh yeah, we destroyed like 5 planets in that war with the Romulans? Doesn't they don't ever talk about ramifications or anything.
You don't. But the thing is, they don't talk. Because he said we were just given this, we would create maybe 3 lines, and that
And
would
that's
be the
it.
backstory. That would be it
I
because
know.
there was no need, as he said, there was no need to go into in depth. There was no
Yeah.
point of it because
But it's sort of irritating like 80 years
at that
later.
time
Or whatever.
he there was a younger guy who was on the set at the same time, and he came on board, I think, to do Next Gen.
Mm.
And this was well after the period of all the fans had started writing backstories of themselves because they got sick and tired of
Yeah.
waiting, right?
We'll just do
And
it
he
ourselves. Yeah.
and he said basically in the interview, he said when I joined the Next Gen, he we were told, by the way, we need to find this, this, and this out. And he goes, well, there is no information about this. And he says, well, can you find some stuff that relates to it online? So they would go online and or as best they.
And find fancy roast stuff.
They'd find fan stuff and they go, well, hang on, this makes more sense than what anything we bloody well did. Why don't we use this?
That's
Um,
really funny.
and that's how they ended up doing it. It was in the 80s where Star Trek got all its backstories. And I
Mm.
think somebody estimated that 80 to 90% of the backstories comes from fans
As it should, you know?
because they in depth and when CBS and Paramount will never admit it, but when they started looking, their backstories were so much better than anything they could come up with. So they started, because they owned the rights
Yeah.
to it, they could just take it and use it
Do
whenever
whatever
they
they wanted
wanted.
with it. Yeah.
But most of the backstory, like Cochrane's backstory, and the Third World War and the Eugenics War and the Romulan War
Yeah.
and the Klingon War, which has been completely distorted so badly, it's no
Oh,
longer.
I know.
Um,
I don't even know what's happening there anymore.
no, but I think
Who
with
does?
I wish they had gone back to do a Metamorphosis 2 or something,
Yeah.
to see where these two. And I think personally, and I know I'm probably going to set you off here.
Oh
I
no.
th- yeah, I think what would have made it more really interesting later on is if they'd had a child,
I mean, yeah, I can see that.
um, because it would have been like part human, part companion,
Alien. Yeah.
um, and this would
I'm
have. I think that would have been an incredible
I just
story.
want them to give these characters more agency. Right?
I don't
Like
look.
if
I think if we were going to get a good story with Cochrane,
hmm,
I don't think we would have got a good one realistically that would have
hmm,
um, made everyone feel comfortable and happy about it. I don't think we would get one until like if Strange New Worlds did one.
I hope they do. I would have loved that. I think that would
Well,
be really cool.
they've done they've done a couple of episodes which relate back to the originals. They've changed them. Um,
I mean, yeah, isn't the Arn like literally Khan's granddaughter or something?
yeah, Arn
Yeah,
is his great granddaughter, I think, or
great
something.
granddaughter.
They've done an episode that's based around the arena.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
Wow.
it is different.
Yeah, I just stopped watching because of Spock, but
No, but it is a lot different. But it is the arena. It is the format, the templates, the arena, but it
mm,
is a lot different to the arena. Completely
yeah,
different.
yeah,
Um, they've made it deeper in
nice.
in connection, and they've made it. I hate to say it, but they have made it sadder. But they made it a bigger and deeper connection than what the
That's
original
good.
one is. And
No, I like that.
I really am upset that you don't get to see the big fight scene with the Rock. I love the Rock.
Yeah, I love the Rock.
I love
I love all
I
the
love.
rocks in the original series because they're all
Oh,
just big foam balls.
yeah, that's why Kirk can get out of the way fast enough because that was a real rock. A, the Gorn
Oh,
wouldn't lift it, and B, that
I
thing would have
know.
taken off like a bolt of lightning to him.
So one of my favorite episodes is when Spock's running away and he gets pinned by a rock, but it so clearly looks like a big vat of foam that you're just like staring at the screen going, just push it off, Spock.
You know
It's
what
just
most of
foam.
them were? They were just paper mache.
Oh, really?
They were just paper mache.
They look so
That's
fake in
so
every
you got a
episode. It's one of my
wire
favorite
frame,
bits.
and then they just paper mache over
They
the
just
top.
paper mache them. That's hilarious.
Because it was so much easier if you wanted to do it and you wanted a different rock, you just squash the frame
Squish
down and paper mache it again.
paper mache again. That's
So most
wonderful.
of them were paper mache.
See, Star
That
Trek
the
needs to make paper mache rocks again. You know, I think that's what we need to go back to basics, guys.
I think we do. I think
Stop
we
with the
have to.
gore. Start making slow philosophical episodes with paper rocks. There we go.
I think the problem. I think my concern with that anything being redone. I
Hmm.
love the original series, right? I
Yeah, me too.
absolutely because that was the series, and this is going to show you how old I am. But I remember growing up on that,
All
right?
right. Yeah, I
Right.
don't.
Shut up. I remember growing up on the original series. When the TNG came out, I didn't like it because it was nothing like. the
It's
original.
very
Took
different
me
from TOS, yeah.
It probably took me a year before I actually got really into TNG.
Mm. See, I grew up on
But
TNG.
I,
That was
I
the first one for me.
God, I'm feeling old now. I'm really feeling old.
Oh,
The
sorry.
problem I think with doing a beloved episode, 60 odd years later,
Hmm.
is that you any episode, anything that's done draws on the social aspect of what's going on in the world today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And what's going on in the world today, the world's screwed up.
Yeah, I know. Like,
You can't,
not very good.
you can't sort of cover that up. We're screwed up. And
Mm.
that's going to imprint on any remake of an
Yeah, but it's not like
episode.
it wasn't in, the 60s
No,
or
no,
whatever. It was
I
just in a different
agree.
way.
But I think the factor that Roddenberry made certain that there was an attempt. I'm not saying
Mm.
he got it all the time, but there was an attempt
No, but there was a genuine attempt. Yeah, I
of
know.
an
That's why I love it
enlighten
so much.
of
It's pushing
enlightenment,
grounds, an
right?
enlightenment, a social
He tried to
understanding.
create where there was an, as in this episode, he didn't get it, but he tried to create equality as much as he could.
Yeah,
Um, and he tried to create a fun, acceptable storyline. I think
yeah,
today, with what's going on, that would seep into any episode, and an episode would become dark. That
yeah,
remake of the Arena, now that's a dark episode compared to the
yeah.
original one. So my fear is, yeah, I'd love to see them go back and do another episode, but my fear is that by the time they've finished doing
It'd
it,
just be
that
really sad.
yeah, it wouldn't be the
Yeah.
same, it wouldn't have the same feel. My
Well, I
fear
feel
is.
like really what they need to do is take the ideas of what they were doing in TOS and create something entirely new. Because I feel like a lot of modern Star Trek really tries to hanker back to the original series.
Oh
They're always
yeah,
adding in legacy characters or they're
yeah,
redoing the Gorn or
yep.
something. And I'm like, stop putting Spock in it. Stop putting Pike there. Stop trying to reference legacy characters. Make something new. Do a DS9, make something new, make something different and impactful, but follow those ideas that TOS was trying to do, which I think is why DS9 works so well and why I like
Oh,
it so
it,
much. It's because it uses the principles that TOS was using and does them in a new and modern way. And I love that so much. I'm like, modern Trek needs to do that instead of rehashing old Star Trek things. Like,
I think that's why Discovery, once Jonathan Frakes got involved, I think that's why
oh yeah.
Discovery started to work.
Well, I only started watching from like what the fourth season, which is really good. It's once
Um,
they go into the future.
I personally think I think they should have gone into the future a lot faster.
Mm. Well, I don't
Um,
know because I didn't watch any of it. I just get to the bit
the
where they went in the future.
factor that we're mucking around 10 years before Kirk,
Oh, are
I
we?
think
Jeez.
was a bad idea. We may have started there for a couple of episodes just to get the feel and the comfort and
Set up.
the story arc going. And then
Yeah. And I
what
do
should
like
have
Michael
happened,
as a character. I think she's really fun.
they
So,
should have gone into the future and then been able to start up whole new story arcs, whole new
yes, yeah.
stories. I mean, we've been mucking around in the 22nd and the 23rd and the 24th century now for 60 years.
Yeah.
Um, I think
I know.
we
And
we
when
should
has
have gone
anyone ever done
forward.
something like DS9 where they go, here's a new alien, here's a new spaceship,
Yep,
here's characters you don't know anything about. Let's
yep.
learn their stories. Let's do something fun. They haven't done anything like that in New
No,
Trek for ages, and it just is so irritating.
I'm hoping, um, for those of you who don't know, Starfleet Academy is
Oh yeah.
coming online, and it is based in the 32nd century.
I do have to say, if you haven't watched Prodigy, it is an animated kids
Oh
show.
yeah, love Prodigy.
But it's really good. It's
Yeah,
really good. That's exactly what I want from
I
Star
love
Trek. I
Prodigy.
opened it. It was so good. I was like, this is what Star Trek should be. This is new,
I love
interesting stuff.
Prodigy. It's
Yeah, me too.
and they've got another kids one out now. Star
Oh, do
Trek
they?
Scouts or something.
Is it good?
It's a very short couple of minutes. episodes, which they're going to make more of.
Hmm.
How do I say? It's like a Sesame Street kind of thing, if I could,
Oh,
if I could,
cute.
right? And it's
Yeah.
based for young kids.
Hmm.
How long that's going to be around, I don't know.
We'll see.
I think also Lower Decks is a fun avenue. It's
Yeah.
basically where you
I've
can
only watched a
watch.
bit.
It, it is one
Not
you
my
can
cup of
sit
tea,
back
really.
and watch and don't really take much. It's just fun to watch. That's
Yeah.
all it is. It's just fun to
I like
watch.
the crossover episode,
Yeah,
but I
it is just
had
simply fun to watch.
it's fun to watch.
Um, but I agree with Annabelle. If you get a chance, find Prodigy, sit down
Mm.
with your kids because it is kid friendly. Sit
It's
down
really
with your
cute.
kids, and I
And
guarantee you.
Janeway's in it. I mean, it's not actually Janeway. It's a fake computer Janeway, but
Yeah,
she's
but
great.
I can't
It
think
is
of her name.
Catherine Mulgrew. Yeah, it's
Thank
actually
you.
Catherine Mulgrew.
And
Yeah.
they bring in a lot of the Voyager crew back
Yeah.
over the second season. But it is a really good one for you and the kids to sit down and
And
watch.
it's like outside of Starfleet, which I think is really
Yeah.
fun. Like it's in Starfleet, but it's not set in
No,
Starfleet.
it's set way away, and
Yeah,
it's a good entry level for kids to get into Star Trek. I think if
absolutely.
and I'm really upset that they're not taking it any further, which is really
I
annoying.
know, me too. I was pissed off about
Look, let's wind this up. What
it.
would your viewpoints? Where do you put
Um,
Metamorphosis?
it's not one that's on my rewatch list. It feels very dehumanizing to me, but I think it's a very well directed episode. I think it's a very well acted episode. Um, I can see why people like it, but I don't personally like it. So I don't know. 4 out of 5.
Don't hold back. Let us really know what you think. Okay.
That is what I really think.
For me, Metamorphosis is one of my favorite ones because if I remember correctly, and yes, I'm that old, I have trouble with memory. Um, I think it was one of the very first ones I actually watched when I started watching Star Trek. Um, that I actually started to get really into it.
Yeah.
And for me, I love because of Cochrane. I basically started loving Cochrane from the first time I saw the episode. I love the episode. Um, Even though when I was a kid, I didn't fully understand the romantic side of it, I still kind of liked it. I consider for me it's about a 5 out of 5, but
Oh, nice.
that's me because I have the advantage of seeing it, only a few years
You
after
have
it was made.
nostalgia glasses, is what
Yeah,
you
I think I
point.
do. I'm not going to deny that. I think for me, the original series has a nostalgic avenue that I
There are
like to
better
sit in.
episodes than this, like the episode after this, which we should have watched. Is
I think I do. I have nostalgic, pretty glasses on that I see that which um, I think every Star Trek fan has for whatever series they
yeah,
start with. All right. They'll always go back. Everyone I've ever talked to at conventions always say, "Oh yeah, this is the series I go
wow,
back to because this is the one I watched first." So whether it was DS9, Voyager, Enterprise,
that's not me.
TNG,
That's so funny.
or the J.J. Abrams movies or whatever.
Not the J.J. Abrams movie.
We've unfortunately got a couple of J.J. Abrams. No, not unfortunately.
Sorry, don't say
I'm not gonna
unfortunately.
finish
People
that.
can like what they like. It's just,
No,
if you're a TOS fan,
I love
it's
the
a very
J.J.
different.
Abrams
It's
movies.
yeah, but then it's not. It's not.
I love the J.J. Abrams, and I love anybody who loves J.J.
Yeah,
Abrams
we're
movies.
so positive. But
Look, the situation is, I think for me, because I grew up in that period, I
Hmm,
see it with a different set of eyes. All right. And I
yeah,
think from your perspective, you have grown up in a different period. You see it with a different set of eyes.
I have grown up as
Um,
a woman, Wayne. I think. No, because I made my mum watch this episode too, and she agreed with me. I think it's like
oh
different lived experiences can
God, could you
experience the
imagine
same thing.
imagine being in the room with the both of you while we're watching it?
Oh, the hell. No.
Um, I think the two we have two different viewpoints because we come from two different points.
Yeah.
We see them from two different points. Um, I think.
And isn't that just lovely?
Well, I start to get like you with um the TNG episodes and the DS9. I start getting like you where I become more critical
Mm.
on the aspect. But I think with the TOG, the TOG,
TOS.
TOS, I think with that I have um because it's the first ever point that I entered the universe, the Star Trek universe.
Mm.
I do have a nostalgic, and I suppose I'm more protective of it. I'm more
Yeah.
like
See, I'm just critical about everything, Lane.
yeah, I know you are. I know you think I am too.
I'm
But I
critical about the
think,
things I love. I'm critical about the things I hate.
oh God, Struth. I think I'm more protective of it because it was the first entry into the universe that I ever became,
Yeah.
and I have this point of view that it to me it brings back memories of a happy time.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that plays on how I perceive each episode. So yes, and I agree with you completely, Annabelle. There are um,
I mean, it's TOS. There's always issues, but I think you can see
there's
what they were
always
trying to do.
criticisms in it,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
whether it's how people were treated or the writing or whatever.
But I don't
There's
think that
criticism.
devalues,
No,
the attempts that were made in this episode to show affection and care and,
I
you
don't
know,
think it devalues. I think it shows um, something a huge change in how television was being made and what
mm,
was allowed to be put on television. And I
mm,
think any Star Trek fan should be proud of the factor that the original series
yeah, was
started
doing
that.
so much. Yeah.
I mean, no other television show realistically up until then
Was
had
making
tried
such
anything
strides.
like this. And
Yeah.
I think we all should be proud of where it started and where it's gone to.
Yeah.
And as fans, I think we just hope that we just keep going in all these great directions.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I think it helps if you are sleep deprived to watch the original series. I'm
That's
gonna.
because the psychedelic colors and the very slow moving. It's
I
a
know.
lot more fun when you're very tired.
Or Kirk. Well, this could be the end.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. And then
Who talks
they
like
do
that,
the
mate?
three notes and they go from one character da to another character da to another
Yeah.
character da.
Who
It's
talks like
so fun.
this? By the time you
Only
finish the
Kirk.
sentence, the
Kirk does.
Romulans have already blown you out of the sky.
No, I love how Bones talks though. He's always
Oh, I love Bones. I
yeah,
do love Bones. If I
it's
had to
hilarious.
pick, if I had to go in order of character, I would say
Mm.
James. I would say Scotty because I love Scotty.
Yeah,
I would
Scotty's
say
good.
Spock,
Yep,
McCoy,
good.
um, Uhura because I think
Yeah,
Uhura
I
she's
love Uhura.
strong but also very protective, and I
Yeah.
think to be able to do that.
Oh, I love what Strange New Worlds did with Uhura. I just gotta say.
Yeah, I have to admit I was a
She
bit.
became my favorite character in Strange New Worlds because I was like, yes, this is what I wanted her to be in
I
TOS, and they
think
let me
in
do it.
I think it would be very overwhelming for anyone to take on that role.
Yeah,
It would be. I mean, sh- um, the Uhura character became a center point and a sort of a rallying point for so many different people
I
and so
know.
many different causes. And I think
Yeah,
somebody coming in, especially of her age,
a
to
young
take,
black woman to play this incredible character,
yeah,
like
yeah.
holding that on her shoulders, I think would have been so
I think
difficult.
it would be an overwhelming sensation, an overwhelming a thing to do, and it would be always in the back of her mind. I think that she wants to do not only honor to her career, but
Hmm.
not to bugger up, the character.
Nichelle Nichols' legacy. Yeah,
Yeah, I honestly think that she does do both respect and honor to both the character and to Nichelle Nichols herself. But
yeah,
that's
me
again
too.
my opinion.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay. Okay. I just want everyone to understand what they've listened to.
Go
I'm
watch
not
the episode,
certain.
guys. Go watch
I'm not
TOS. It's really
certain
fun, I promise.
what you've listened to either, but we as a club we do these get-togethers once every month, and we just talk about a whole heap of crap. We Annabelle and I decided to start doing these for one simple reason is just to have a bit of fun and to
That's
show
because I
that
can't stop yapping, Wayne. That's what
I was trying to be nice, but okay. Um, and just to show how much fun being in a club like the Southern Cross can be. It's unscripted if you hadn't figured that out from the beginning.
this
Um,
is completely unscripted. This is just our conversational narrative.
but I, but we wanted to do this to show you that these are what the meetings are like. We literally start talking and we head off in complete and utter tangents and go in all different
Million different
directions.
directions. Yeah.
Um, Look, at any point, if you want any information about the club, just contact us. I'll leave an email in the description. I don't know what I'm going to write about this one, but I'll write
I think we had
something.
a nice chat, Wayne.
Oh, was okay. We'll go with a nice chat.
Yeah.
And Annabelle didn't swear, so this is a good
I didn't
start.
swear. Wait, did I actually not swear? That's
No, I
great.
think you
Wonderful.
swore once, and that's
I might
pretty
have sworn
good.
once. For
I
me,
think you
that's pretty good.
that's pretty good. Um, I will put a link to the email in the description if you want any information and you want to get caught up in this complete and utter chaos. Drop me a line and I will be more than happy to send you some information. And you too could jump in as the third party on
Woo.
this insanity that we try to do in this podcast.
Yep.
Um,
Join the conversation. It's
God,
fun.
could you imagine if we had three of us on this at the one
I
time?
think it would be chaos. We'd have to double the time.
Yeah, it'd go on. Yeah. All right, look, thank you to anybody who listens. I'm not kidding. If we get one person,
If you sat down this whole time, thank you.
if we get one person, I'll be happy. Look,
Woo.
yeah, okay. Um, Again, I hope you enjoy this. This is just us having fun, showing what the club's all about, and showing our love and passion for Star Trek. And if you want to be part of it, and have a go at Annabelle, no,
Excuse me.
and um, and get involved in something like this with a group of like-minded people, drop us a line. All right, from your red shirt commander, goodbye.
What, you want me to say goodbye now too?
I
From
told
your
you it's
very
unscripted.
incompetent officer. Goodbye. Have a good day. Look after yourself. Watch Star Trek.
All right, see yous.
Bye.